All right, friends. I am not Ron Cuff. I'm not about half as handsome, but my name is Dave Kryjak. I'm one of the co-founders of Forge, and you've seen all of the marketing materials as you signed up for this webinar coming from us. So, what are we going to talk about today? First off, what the hell is Forge? Why are you watching me, an Irish Pollock, here in front of you talking about marketing, SEO, PPC, and LSA? We've got about 30, 45 minutes here together. So what we're going to cover today is search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising or Google advertising, and local service ads, which is also Google. We may get into a little bit of Facebook stuff, but for right now, that's where we're going to go. Forge was launched by 4 co-founders with one simple mission in mind: to help businesses grow and scale, and hopefully one day exit. How is that done? We are providing a course module that you can purchase that covers 4 fundamentals: marketing, sales, operations, and finance. Most of it is taught by a gentleman you've seen before, Ron Cuff, one of the founders, and he's grown and scaled multiple companies for multiple 8-figure exits. I'm here, Dave Kryjak. I've run a marketing agency for just under a decade. We specialize a lot in home services and professional services, and I'm here to help you walk through some simple marketing tactics that you can take away today to use for your business, whether you're doing $500,000 a year in revenue or over $5 million in revenue. So we're going to take our time. We're going to do a little bit of drawing. Follow me. So when we talk about paid media, that means we pay somebody to go click on our stuff, right? Now, Ron always loves this example, and a lot of other friends do too. When you Google something, and we'll show you over in the overlay here if you're watching this post, but I'm going to draw it live. It's going to look just like a Google search. And it's a good introduction to what it is that we're actually talking about. So when you go to Google, here's your G, here's your search bar, here's your stuff, and I type in roofers near me. Everybody does this, right? If you're you need something done for your home, or if you need to find a doctor, or you need to go to the bank, you look up whatever bank near me, whatever this near me, blah, blah, blah. Now, what actually happens when you do that? Just from a bit of education standpoint, Google does a couple things. One, it pulls your GPS from your phone. That's why it knows where you are. Every phone you keep in your pocket, unless you have a flip phone, it doesn't pull your location. So it knows what to send you. It also pulls what we call an AID. It's an advertiser identification. If you're an American, you have a social security number. Google basically has a digital version of a social security number that tracks what you do online. Now, as a person who runs an advertising agency, we don't know who you are, but we do know how you act, what you search, what times you search for, what you look up, what your general interests are. You also give most of that information away for free, and so do your customers. But we pull that because it's coming from your phone. And then we also grab just general demographics, which is included in that advertiser identification. And for me, that would be a male, mid-20s, owns a home, basic stuff. We don't know names. We don't know addresses. We have a general idea. Dave's in New Jersey. He's looking for this kind of service, or he's looked for it this time in April of previous years. All of that data is live and in the flesh. So that's important because we're going to come back to that. But I just wanted to fully walk you through that process because people do ask me a lot what actually goes into Google. So that's basically the key 3. So we're here in New Jersey. So I do roofers near me, right? You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff now. 10 years ago, it was just searches, right? You just saw www. Everywhere you went. And you couldn't pay for any of this stuff. Well, Google came up with a really good idea. and said, let's run ads, right? Google ads. What are those? Do a couple things here. So I do this like a third grader so that we can really understand what's going on. When you Google something on your phone and you say roofers near me, you're going to see a big, fat, clean box. That is what we're going to call Google Guaranteed. I'll come back to that. Next is a sponsored ad. We'll call that pay-per-click. And then finally, the OG stuff is SEO, and that's search engine optimization. Google is the search engine, and you're optimizing it to get to the top. A little more detail about Google Guaranteed advertising. If you run that now, you've understood the process. Google over the years has, so we're going to back up there. I want to start from bottom up so that you have a better understanding. If you know what this is, I'll get there and I'll give you some advanced tips. When we're talking about SEO, right? When Google was first invented, they didn't know at the time that that's what SEO was. Who has the best, most reliable information in your space, and there's a but, in your specific location. So what do I mean by that? If you're a person like me who runs an ad agency, but I scroll past all the ads and I go to the first regular website that I see, right? A lot of people say that. That's what SEO is. It's the most trusted source of information from Google that it believes it should show you. Very common example, if you're still not following, a Wikipedia page, right? Why does Wikipedia do so well? Because it has a shit ton of information and it ranks really well because a lot of people look it up, right? That's where it got the popularity of having very high SEO. So that's a good example just conceptually to understand where that comes from. So why that's important is because of the previous point I just said. 65% of people, average consumer in America, goes past all of the paid advertisements on Google, all of the paid advertisements on Bing, and they go right to the first, what they think is a real website, which is very true because you have one. But this work is really hard to do, but it goes really well over a longer period of time 6, 9, 12, 24, 36. Some of our clients have been SEO clients for 5+ years. It's a slow burn of telling Google more information about your business. Now, Dave, I'm a roofer. What the hell do I tell Google about my business? We put roofs on houses. I put roofs on commercial buildings. What do I tell them? You're not telling humans what you do. You're telling robots what you do. Google, the robots. So that they, the robots, put you in front of more humans. I'm trying to dumb this down conceptually as much as possible just so that you understand. I'm not doing it to get robots to be, or humans to be like, well, they know, they're very technically skilled and they install these products and they have this sales folder and all this good stuff. Google needs to know on a very consistent basis, every month, every couple of weeks, every couple of days, what stuff are you doing that's up to date to keep you up top? Think of this like a big leaderboard. You've seen maybe if you have a marketing company or if you do some marketing yourself, you're in one of these spots when you Google yourself. Sometimes you're down like hundreds of pages. Sometimes you're in like the top 5, which to be honest is pretty good to start if you don't know what I'm talking about. If you Google yourself or you Google your company, you should be first. But if you Google roofers near me and you're on this list anywhere in the first page, you're doing better than most of your competition. So needless to say, the SEO thing is a lot of robot tricking by writing, you may have heard, blog posts, keyword mapping, tools, all this kind of stuff. A keyword is what we just used up top in the box. Roofers near me. That's a set of keywords, which is also called a phrase, right? We speak in phrases. So the SEO stuff, and I'll come back for a little more technical deep dive, but just as an overview, it's how much we're telling robots about our stuff so that robots put us in front of more humans. That's it. And when they go to your website, they'll see a nice landing page that has a lot of information. Hey, I'm ABC Roofing. We're certified in XYZ. We service your hometown, and we're able to give you a free estimate. Click here to call today. We're not talking about website stuff too heavy today, but I just gave you a nice template for a landing page. So if you don't have those, that's also in Forge. In the courses is a very nice set of landing page templates. So we covered SEO, and we call that organic search. You may have heard that, and the search engine optimization. Now we're going to get into the paid stuff. So you're a little bit, let's just say you're a $2.5 million roofing company. You're doing really well, but you're hitting that cap. Now, I have a bias. You should have salespeople. You have your marketing stuff, your local stuff. You're already the mayor of your own town, right? But now I want to get into new markets. I want to go to another state. I want to go to another town that I haven't really been in. Well, we can pay Google for some of that stuff. So what I'm talking about is when you Google something and a whole bunch of companies come up top, they are paying for your attention. And you may be too if you're running ads. So there's two types of paid advertising. We talked about it already. Google guaranteed and pay per click advertising, or PPC. I'm going to talk about PPC for a little bit. It's been around since about 2005, 2006. It's what Google originally used to really start becoming the company they are today. And what it does is, I'll give you a couple more terms here. 1 second. And I'm not going to get too termy because I don't like agency people who talk in terms, but some of these are a little important as it relates to your business as a whole. I'll completely explain what these mean. We're going to pay Google to put us in front of 3 counties that you service, the 3 counties that are closest to your office. And if you work out of your house, the 3 counties closest to your house. What happens is Google takes all this information and they send it to, you guessed it, top search bar. People that are located in those 3 counties that match my advertiser identification profile and also fit in my demographics. So I'm going to stay on the roofing trend, but I want homeowners with moderate to high income, which is an option, probably over 25, 30, so that they're making some real purchasing decisions, if not 35 and older, and may or may not be in the market to buy a roof in the next 6, 9, 12 months. Google has that predictive data. So they can say, well, we guesstimate if there's 100,000 people that live in your area, about 10% of those in that market may want to buy a roof in the next 6, 9, 12 months. So Google then says, well, there's 4 companies like you, Mr. Roofer. There's Roofer A, B, C, and D. So we're going to make a marketplace. I call it a river of traffic. And this will make a little more sense. I'll draw this a little bit bigger in a second. Okay. So we call this the river of traffic. And what happens here is in the beginning, we're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to pay Google a certain market price that gets set. What that is all dependent on where you want to be and how many of your competitors also pay for these types of ads. And I'll explain more in a little bit. But when you start out, you might get a lot of leads or you might get none, but you're going to pay a lot of money up front and you may see no results. If you've seen that, if you've hired a marketing agency and they say, listen, when we switch to our firm, or you hire another firm, or you hire somebody to do it in-house, when you start ads, new ads, they suck in the beginning. They're not going to hit instantly. So they start, and you come down, 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 and we want to spend as little money as possible to get as many leads as possible. I like the middle of this graph here, kind of a low point. A little bit of money, solid amount of leads. And then if you've seen, oh, we never could compete with big company ABC or national franchise ABC. If I Google them, they're everywhere. I'm sure you've seen that. That is this model up here in the very top right of the graph. That's a lot of money and a large geographic area. Let's just say if you're a national brand, give me every state in the US and I'm going to be the top roofer in the country. It's a lot of coin, but it is technically possible to dominate that market. Now, I may say, well, then, David, if all these big companies do all that, then why the hell do I need to run paid ads? Because I will never compete with those companies. Now, while that may be true, they don't know the mayor of your town concept. That is, they don't know the street names that you grew up on and where your neighbors live. They don't understand all the zip codes in your area. And if they tried to map all 90,000 zip codes, they're going to go blue in the face in the US. And they don't know where the places of your exact neighborhoods move, shake, and have people. There's a lot of analytics that get us to that point, but they still are never going to be boots on the ground unless they're physically there or headquartered in that area. So if we apply the mayor of our own town concept, then I'm just going to pick this whole state of New Jersey for right now. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of roofing companies that advertise. But there's enough of a marketplace to where in my 3 counties or my 3 towns, I can pick up a piece of that river. The river is only ever at 100%. As I always joke, we can't make new roofs come out of the sky. You could with a little bit of help, but it's a little unethical. So Google will split up the slice of the pie for the smaller companies, the medium companies, and their large advertisers. Because in all reality, Google's in the money-making business too. They want to diversify who they have on their platform. So they will take care of you for a smaller budget. How do we do that though? It's a little bit of manual work. So that goes into some regular marketing stuff at a really high level. It's good, authentic video, real pictures of jobs that you do and work that you've completed, before and after pictures of the crappy roof that had tarps on it to a brand new shiny roof. Or if you're in the disaster mitigation business, a house completely torn up by a fire and then a brand new house that you reconstructed. You have to show a homeowner or a small business owner what their tragedy could look like under your guidance and your help to get them out of that situation. That's what advertising is at its core. It's putting that person into your shoes and helping them understand that you might be able to help them solve their problem. So again, we're going to pay Google for some of those leads. Now, if you have a giant budget, you can kind of go with a give me every little piece perspective. But when you build this out, and inside of Forge, there's an exact guide, step by step, me walking you through the computer, how to actually build an ad that's a regular ad, a local size ad. And at the end, you'll get 2 statistics that really matter to me. There's a whole bunch of other numbers. I'll be honest with you, friends. If anybody tries to sell you on any other 2 numbers, these are the only ones that matter. Google gives you a lot of data. You don't really need that much. You need a couple of things. You need CPA, cost per acquisition. And we want that number to be as low as we can go, baby. Impressions don't matter. Clicks don't matter. None of that stuff matters. It's all relative. Don't compare clicks with people. Oh, I got 40,000 impressions. You have 400,000. How's this work? None of that data matters. How much did we pay the big man to get a call into our business, a marketing qualified lead? It's your job to make sure it's sales qualified and that they might actually be a good fit for your company. But CPA, cost per acquisition, and in our world, that stops there. But if you got really fancy, you can make it your net cost per acquisition after your marketing fees and all that stuff. But that's for 102. So CPA, cost per acquisition. And then this is a little 102 stuff, but I think it's really important you just understand this concept. Even in the roofing space, it's not as much, but the lifetime value of a customer, right? You spend a lot of money on cost per acquisition, hopefully not too much, and sales materials and the time to get the job, the guys to do the job. But what's that customer actually worth to you over a 5-10 year period? Let's just say average homeowner keeps their house for 10 years. Let's just say it's a really bad place, a lot of storms, and I might get 2 roofs out of them. So that's a good number to know to see how much we should spend on a customer, knowing that we'll get 5 out of 10 people to come back every once in a while, because it's cheaper to resell to an existing customer than it is to try to go find all brand new ones. Just a little 102 drop there, but I don't want to go too deep into that today, unless we have some questions at the end. Finally, in terms of the paid media space, we're going to talk about Google's newest model as it comes to lead generation. So, we talked about PPC and regular paid ads, which is great, but anybody can sign up and give Google money as long as you have an ID and you can verify that you're a real business. But they don't know if you're insured. They don't know if you have high ethics. They don't know if you have good reviews or if you've even done good work. Google just says, great, you're a company, give me some money, I'll give you some leads. That's led to a lot of bad juju in the marketplace under the sponsored category. Bad contractors, bad subcontractors. I'm talking a little out of my wheelhouse, but in our operations division of Forge, in the course, that's really talked about in the high ethics that you have because you're watching stuff like this. So Google said, we're going to make a category for those people that do high ethical, high moral, and really focus on the reputation style work, called Google Guaranteed. You may have also heard it called LSA, or Local Service Ads. It's designed for the people that want to be the mayor of their own town, right? So they come in, somebody Googles roofers near me, and the top 3 searches now that you're going to see is a little bit of a crapshoot, but 3 big signs here of roofer 1, roofer 2, roofer 3. Now you don't have too much to work with here, but you have a nice little picture. We're local, we do this, we're licensed and insured, we're bonded, we have a license. Google physically checks all the licenses. They run a background check on you, the owner. They check your reviews in the past, and they run other searches in places like the Better Business Bureau, Yelp, etc., and actually congregate all those reviews to make sure that you are who you say you are. And if you have no reviews, it forces you to get them first from actual customers that Google will verify before they let you in. They also check the COI, and they actually put Google as one of the requesters of the certificate of insurance. A couple of years ago, Google actually used to make you bond with them. Bit of a legal nightmare, so they stopped doing that. But all these 4 things, from a homeowner's perspective, if you're not telling them, you most certainly should, because not a lot of people even have what you think are basic necessities of being a contractor. But what happens is the customer's already vetted all 4 of those things from a sales perspective. They know who you are. Google says you are who you say you are, and that is what we pay a premium for when they call us for a lead. So same two numbers apply, cost per acquisition and cost per lead of what we're paying. So this top three box rotates. You can't kind of a crapshoot of where you throw up if you have these three that you're paying for. But this system from Google kind of takes out a lot of work on your part. So if you were a smaller business and you said, Dave, what do we do? I want to run paid ads. I would run Google guaranteed ads, local service ads, because you get a whole back end system from Google. You get call recording, so you get to listen to those calls that you and or your sales team or your in-house staff may be having. And that's nice to hear how, from a customer support perspective, where people are acting on the phone, especially as you hire and you grow your company. Second, if the call is not a legitimate lead, you get a credit from Google. Very rare that they do it, but in this software, it's a guarantee. That's why it's a Google guarantee for the customer, and it's a Google guarantee for you, the advertiser. Google AI listens to the recording, and if they feel that there's an issue, for example, if somebody calls for a fire that damaged their home, and that's what they said, but then they were actually calling for, they smelled mold in the house. Fire and mold don't mix. Fire is very expensive. Mold's very cheap. So they will give you a complete refund, and that lead does not count, which is nice because you save some money. You get it back. But that system, by going through that verification process, is the number one way to get on the top of all of your listings very fast. You go right to the front of the line because you're paying for it. But to bring that back to perspective, you get 65% of people that go right down to SEO too. So if you've been in business for more than a year, focusing on the SEO and those kinds of things, it's a good double-edged sword, which is something most business owners that we've worked with in the past continue to struggle with. Do I do more paid? Do I do more SEO? What matters? Well, they both do, friend. But the quick hitter is ads and SEO are two different divisions of how you should be growing your business. But that's a quick high level of some PPC, some LSA, and some SEO. I'm going to ramble on one more thing that I didn't talk about yet, and that's Google My Business. I'm going to take a quick breather, and I'll get you a new drawing. Give me 20 seconds.
Yeah, so that's one of the questions we had. Somebody asked, what is Google My Business and how does it fit into this? So I think that'll be a good transition.
Cool. Do that again. Make it a little bit bigger this time. So just redrawing this to give you a better example. What I showed you before was this portion here, which is what a Google search looks like. Now, I'm going to stay in the roofer category, but if I go to roofers near me and somebody's doing really good SEO, has a lot of reviews, and is physically so close to you that Google thinks that they should physically show you what company you should call, they pull up what's called a Google My Business profile. Now, these have been called 4 or 5 different things over the years, but now people just call them my Google page. So that's what we're going to call it, your Google page, or your Google My Business profile. And a lot of business owners don't really know what that is or why it's important or what matters. But that's probably the first interaction that a potential customer might have with your business, whether it's positive or negative. Let me explain. So if you Google your company and this does not come up, you should reach out to us. We'll show you how to set that up. And that's also in the Forge course. But what comes up, if you know what this is, or you even ever set it up, is your logo. And you can have a whole gallery of pictures up top, your company name, your principal address. And if you don't have an address, a service area, which is all the towns and the counties and the states that you do work in, followed by, if you have them, reviews, and then your average rating, which you've seen before. That's all really good. That's kind of the first fold of that. Next is a description of your business. Now, you may ask yourself, does this little description here have anything to do with this, which is SEO? And the answer is yes. Google My Business and SEO, from a conceptual understanding here at a 101 level, can be treated as the same thing. Google My Business is basically the Facebook page of Google for your company. When you set up a Facebook page, you should set up a Google My Business page. It's kind of 6 in one, half dozen the other now. So this description is something you can write, and it should be detailed. We at Roofing Company X provide A, B, C, D, E, F, G services to these types of people in this area for this many years. We're certified, we're licensed, we're bonded, we're insured. You can say whatever you want in this box. You have quite a bit of detail. Remember, it's for the customer, but it's also for Google. So give them a lot of detail. Think that you're trying to explain roofing to a 5-year-old, and then put that in the box or ask ChatGPT to help you out. This is the newer feature they have. But right after that, if you have reviews on other platforms like Yelp or the Better Business Bureau, that will all be there, followed by links to your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your LinkedIn page, etc. And you get to add those in there. What makes this more like a social media outlet is at the very bottom, you're allowed to post updates, which most people don't know about. So this is a little complex, but if you're following me, you're doing really good. Everything you post on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn should also be going in 2 places on Google. They haven't really figured this one out yet, but I'll explain it to you. You can post to this page just like a Facebook page, which is why I said that. Secondly, however, if you'll recall from earlier, in the local service ads, you can put before and after pictures, real jobs that you've done, etc. That goes up here in your gallery. They do not talk to each other, but they both promote the SEO of the company. What does all that mean? Back to my original points on content. There is never, and I mean never, too many pictures, too many videos, too many stories, too many things that you could tell somebody at a bar about how bad that job was, and that before and after picture that you show them on your phone that will not go into here, that will not help promote your business. These tools, all of them, specifically this Google My Business page, but also the stuff that we pay them for, it's your gateway to scream on top of the mountain what your business actually does and why other people should call you. What it's going to look like, how they're going to act, what they're going to talk about, and how they're going to talk about you after they've had a real interaction with your company and have given you some dinero. So at a high level, we just covered 4 big things. I'm just going to recap that. Starting from the beginning. When you search something on Google, you have paid ads. There's 2 types of paid ads. Local service ads, which are Google guaranteed, right? Licensed, insured, bonded. We're a legit company, which everybody watching this probably is. Then there's PPC. Anybody can give Google money. People still click on these because it's a very popular margin for Google, but it's a regular ad. Hey, I'm a roofer in New Jersey, and we service this. But if you're like 65% of the other people, you go right down to SEO. So that's the 2 paid things, and then there's organic. SEO is how well the Google robots understand what you do through what you say on your website. And that goes to people in your local area. And that's that mayor of your own town concept. And then finally, that kind of really just ties right back into this Google My Business page, which is who you are, what you do, what other people say about you, the description, and the link, basically a virtual business card for all of your social media, and then updates that you can post about yourself and about your company, not only to show customers, but primarily to show Google. So I'm going to erase all this, take a quick sip, and then if we have any questions, we'll go into those.
So Dave, the first question we have, and you kind of answered it, says, how do I focus on SEO? So I think what we need to ask is, what things can you do on your website to increase your SEO presence?
Okay. I'm going to do 101, and I'll take you down to like 301, and then I'm going to stop. So, website SEO. Couple things when it comes to websites, right? As a person who's built websites for a decade and for hundreds of companies, there's a couple things you can do when it comes to SEO that we talk about. Right. With this Google concept, right? It's roofers, New Jersey, roofers near me, right? Roofers this, roofers that, roofers this, roofers that, roofers this. That is a keyword, right? Keyword. That's what we talked about. Or a key phrase that your people Google or Bing or whatever you use. That is something we can pay for in Google Ads. But we can make pages on our website that customers land on that speak to best roofers in New Jersey, best roofers in my town that I live in, best roofers in, as you've seen on some big websites, there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of pages, and we call those landing pages, that demonstrate not so much to humans, but to Google that we are good in all of these locations so that we can help the customer with their problem. What is on those landing pages? I will just give you a quick, very basic what a landing page should look like. And we also have that template inside of Forge in the course. But here's your basic website. You get a big picture or a video up top, right? Nice big, we're this roofing company, we're the best, we're certified, the whole thing. Quick hit on the landing page, probably something local about the town. This town, New Jersey, is really great. It was founded in 1972, and it's got all these people in it, and it's really cool. And there's all these local things and nonprofits and charities. This just tells Google that you know what you're talking about XYZ town. After that, well, if you live in this town, there's roofing problems, there's a lot of storms, there's a lot of damage. We happen to be a roofing company that's certified and can install all of these things for you if you call us right at the bottom or you fill out a form. That is a call to action. Buyer, take an action. Call me. Book a free estimate. Book a free evaluation. Those kinds of things. So this is the local business knowledge for Google. This is who the hell you are as a business. And this is what you want the person to do once they get to the bottom of your landing page. What is also on there is a lot of links. So, we're talking about Wikipedia. This town's located in this county, in this state. These X's are links out to other websites, right? So your website really is doing this all over the place, going to all these different websites. None of that matters to humans, right? But Google sees this as, well, this roofing company is connected with the local community like this. They have to be. They're referencing all of these things. Why do we trust peer-reviewed letters? They're certified with sources, and they talk about other things to form a true ideology of what's happening. That is what happens in the Google system. We're bringing you back out of that nerd speak for a second. Basically, we link a bunch of other places so that we can talk about why we're good in this town at what we do. And at the very end, we ask them through all the keywords that they looked up to give us a quick call or schedule an estimate.
Next one.
Yep.
All right. Should I do paid ads and SEO at the same time?
Okay, so that's a loaded question. At marketing agency owner, the answer is always yes, right? But if you have done none of that, I would start with paid advertising. If you're a smaller company and you need leads in the door tomorrow, not 12 months from now, paid advertising is the way to do it. Over time, SEO will outrank you over your competition. But if you need leads now, paid ads is the strategy. If you have a little extra coin on the side, build up that SEO while you're running paid ads, and you'll get to a point where you can kind of play around with that budget. And eventually you may be able to actually lower your advertising budget because SEO is doing so well.
All right, next one. How do I get Google guaranteed?
Okay. So Google Guaranteed is very easy. I don't remember the exact domain, but go into Google, type Google local service ads. Also, it's inside of Forge how to set all that up with a regular ad. But you go right on there. Google literally, you cannot mess it up, I promise. There's 5 steps. It verifies your business. You give them the legal paperwork, gives them the insurance, gives them the certificates of what you actually do. Google takes all of that and they email you. Hey, Dave, that's approved. Give me your money. Or hey, Dave, that plumber's license is inaccurate. We need a new one, etc. But Google how to set up Google local service ad sounds funny, but Google has a step-by-step process. As long as you have a Google account, if not, it takes 30 seconds. Just make one, and it's a 2 or 3 day process.
So, not a question, but when I was getting Google guaranteed my businesses, there were things that they required, such as like I had to have a physical office space. Is that still a thing?
So the question is about having a physical office space or not for Google Guaranteed. Google Guaranteed will now do what's called service area basis. So your company that you started is legally registered somewhere, a house, your house, or an office. If you're small enough, you may have service area, which is we service these counties. Google will now accept those as that location. However, as an old technical note you may have heard, anywhere you can put a pin drop, which is the physical office location like we're in right now, that's going to win still double over a service area base. So quick answer to the question, yes, it's allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Do my Google reviews impact my Google ranking? I assume they're asking if I have bad reviews, do I rank lower in SEO?
If you have bad reviews, yes, at a very high level, yes. But Google policy states that we can't judge your entire score off of that, kind of like your credit score, where it's a bunch of different little factors all mixed into one. Reviews are definitely a part of it. And just if you have bad reviews, customers are going to read those before they call you. 9 out of 10 homeowners read those reviews like the Bible before they make a purchasing decision. Now, some people have problems with perfect reviews. Some people want like a 4.8, 4.9 because companies are real and mistakes happen. But yes, reviews do affect your SEO performance with the big G man.
Do social media posts help with my Google ranking?
The answer to that shortly is yes. On that Google My Business page at the bottom, it pulls from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. YouTube as well, also owned by Google. But yes, all of that is in the SEO category, and that spider web I was drawing earlier includes social media sites.
I think this one pertains to PPC, I assume. How do I know what keywords to focus on?
Oh. So you need to get in a room, bring all your employees, and just start talking. So there's a lot of tools. This is a good ChatGPT exercise. You can go in there and say, hey, I'm starting Google Ads. Help me develop a list of 100 keywords or phrases for my business. I service this location. I target these people. It'll give you a nice big list of people. But you think of what you would Google, right? I'm just going to use an example in the keywords that we would do for Forge. If I would see that again, it would help with the setup of what we're doing. So best coursework near me, best roofer near me, those kinds of things. You're building that out and changing the words on every time. Let me just draw that out again to show you. So inside of the marketing module of Forge, we have a template that is a keyword generating template. That will help you figure out. Let's just start with what we did with before, best roofers near me. Okay, that's great. Some people don't think you're the best roofer. They want a reliable roofer. They want an on-time roofer. They Google, there's holes in my roof. Who do I call? That is what you want to just write out. We have a tool that can do that for you. And then combining that with some AI, you can very quickly develop that list. A lot of people ask how long that list should be. My joke is just start with 100. And then after you fully figured that out, add another 100 a month. So 100 keywords a month, 1,200 keywords a year. If you know nothing about it, that's a good starting place.
So there's another question, not in order, but I think it pertains to it. How do I track if my PPC spend is working? Like, can they go in and track it to see if the keywords are using or actually working or not?
Yep. So it's a little technical, but inside of Google Ads, there is a call reporting metric. We'll definitely make a module on that because it's a little more of a 102 conversation, but I'll go there for you. You're allowed to pull a report. Google does not record phone calls anymore unless you're a local service guaranteed provider. That's why you have that service. There's third-party tools like CallRail, Twilio, and other services that if you have an agency, they can help you with that, or you can pay for it. That will record your conversations for you. At a very high level, Google can spit out what campaign they clicked on, what ad they clicked on, what time they clicked on it, and what their phone number was. And you'd have to manually go in and set that into your CRM or whatever software you're using to make sure that they actually became a customer if you're running that much in advertising. But at that stage, you typically would have an agency or internal marketing staff to help manage that.
I think the other questions you answered already. I think that's the last of our questions, unless other people put anything in the chat or whatever, but I think that's it.
Cool. Very good questions. Again, I'm Dave. This was a marketing webinar on PPC, LSA, SEO, a little bit of website stuff, all inside of a course that we've built called the Forge Fundamentals. It's available on our website right now, goforgenow.com. And on some of our banners, you'll see you can use the code webinar for 10% off the lifetime access course. There's keyword mapping templates. There's website templates. There's SEO templates. There's instructional videos on how to make and completely set up Google Ads. And if you have any questions, all of our contact information is down below. Please reach out. We'd be happy to be of service. Thanks so much.